What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. I hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. So after I made my video addressing and calling out Stevie Knight for his clowned out buck dancing, for his butter biscuit eating and all of that, a few of my subscribers told me, hey, Stevie Knight responded to the hateful comments that he got about his review of the movie Sinners, right? And the reason why I called out Stevie Knight is not because he simply didn't like the movie. It was because one of his reasonings for not liking the movie was because it was woke. It was woke. Using woke in its bastardized form, in a way that alt-right people use the word, or anti-black racists use the word. They use woke to describe anything that's not alt-right, right? Any content that speaks about police brutality, that speaks about the oppression of black folks in this country, the alt-right people call it woke. And Stevie Knight used it in that same manner, okay? So, Stevie Knight, he was so shocked by him getting so much pushback from black folks calling him out, he made a video titled, Reading Hateful Comments from My Sinners Review. And then I made a live stream video saying how I have no sympathy for Stevie Knight, because he was, I'm getting hateful comments, I'm getting hateful remarks. And I said, brother, I don't give a flying fuck about them hateful remarks because you have no empathy. Why do I have empathy for you when you have no empathy for black American people or the black struggle at all? You have no empathy towards it. So why would I be empathetic towards you for being called out for throwing black folks under the bus time and time again? Nonetheless, after making the video where he talked about, where he was reading hateful comments of his Sinners review, he made another video addressing him getting called out for being a step and fetch it, right? He made another video titled, I Never Expected This to Happen. And I guess, he's talking about him being called out and called out of his name for throwing black folks under the bus and using woke in his bastardized form. And because people were calling out for his years of like buck dancing and basically gaslighting black folks into thinking that racism was a figment of our imagination, because Stevie Knight does that. He got called out for it. So under that video, there was this comment that an individual left to Stevie Knight, and he says, and I quote, Stevie, I've been subscribed to you and been watching you for years, and I'll be honest, whenever I saw you getting emotional/triggered by people using certain words or criticizing aspects of black culture, I used to think, man, that's a shame. He's a smart, insightful, and almost a free thinker. They love their free thinker shit. When they want to get racist shit off, they always they want to call you a free thinker. They want to, if you allow them to get off their racist shit, they call you a free thinker, right? But anyway, I'm going to continue. He says, I used to think, man, that's a shame. He's a smart, insightful, and almost a free thinker. He's almost there, but he's been conditioned to be a victim. That's another one of their buzzwords. He said, I felt bad for you because when the idea that white people have it out for you has been drilled into your brain all your life, I thought there would be no chance of you ever evolving past it. But you did. You did, Stevie. And then he says, and that is so impressive, Stevie. You have no idea. You were open-minded, skeptical, and you kept questioning the status quo, and you eventually came to your own conclusions of how this world actually works. I know you won't read this, but for what it's worth, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Stevie. See, this that old attaboy shit I'm talking about, okay? Because I guess I'm assuming in Stevie Knight's, when he first began his channel, I hope I didn't call him Stevie J at any point, but when Stevie Knight first began his channel or started his channel, maybe he was speaking up for black people at one point, and then he found out it was money in being an alt-right person. It was money in being an anti-black racist. He found out it was money in that, and he started to gear his channel towards the anti-black racist, towards the alt-right crowd, right? And so this man is giving him an attaboy. Attaboy, Stevie. You came around to being a free thinker. You came around to really thinking for yourself. You came around to not be a victim, because that's another one of those buzzwords they call black folks who call out racism. They call us victims and all of the above, right? And so in this video, I'm going to use this comment to talk about how people like this individual who gave Stevie Knight his pat on the head, how these individuals, these alt-right people, trick black folks into accepting racism. They try to trick us into being tolerant or subservient to it. You know? And I remember when the shift initially started. Do y'all remember when the shift initially started? I'm not going to act like there weren't alt-right and racist people on YouTube prior to this event happening, because there were a nice amount of racist people and alt-right anti-black racists on YouTube for sure. But after this event happened, there was an abundance of anti-black racism all over YouTube, and then it started to feel like YouTube started to reward anti-black racists in the algorithm. Their videos got pushed immediately. If you speak anti-black talk, if you're an alt-right individual, if you're a MAGA man or a MAGA woman, your videos get pushed. You get millions and millions of views, subscribers, so on and so forth. And so y'all know what event I'm referencing. When Donald Trump's first presidency began, I saw YouTube become a cesspool for alt-right people. You know, staunch anti-black racists who bastardized the word woke and spoke against any black person acknowledging systemic racism or police brutality, right? You know, these alt-right MAGA men and women wanted to urge or convince black people to become subservient to their racist banter and ideologies. You know, the anti-black racists, they attempted to gaslight black folks into being indifferent / intolerant towards racist rhetoric. You know, the black people that I talk about that say, hey man, I don't let it bother me. I don't let racism bother me. You know, I let it fly over my shoulder, man. It's just the words, man. It's just, I let it fly over my shoulder, man. It's not a big deal to me, man. It's just, you know, I'm so numb to it. They want black people to be like that. They want black people to kowtow to racism. They want black people to bend the knee to racism. They want black people to give in and allow it to happen. And they want black people to allow them to get their racist shit off. And for us to just turn a blind eye to it and just let it be okay for them to do so. And so individuals like Stevie Knight, Officer Tatum, the Hodge twins, you know, Candace Owens, you know, there's a lot of the Cartier family. They fall into that trap. Really for monetary gain, but they fall into the trap, and then they try to convince other black folks. They spew this rhetoric, which is very harmful because there are a lot of young, impressionable black kids out here who may think that's the way to go. And so that's why you have individuals like me on YouTube to speak out against these individuals, right? But yeah, you know, like I said, the anti-black racists, they attempt to gaslight black folks into being indifferent or intolerant towards racist rhetoric. You know, because we black folks, we're not supposed to get upset at non-black people saying the N-word because words shouldn't trigger us. Words shouldn't trigger us in 2025. Hey man, you're still allowing words to trigger you in 2025, man. Hey man, grow up, man. They're just words, man. They're just words, man. Bullshit. Okay? Knock it the fuck off. They're never going to be just words to me. And they're never going to be just words to a lot of black people who subscribe to this channel. Okay? Yeah, man, the alt-right man and woman want a more compliant, intolerant Negro who's basically accepting of their racist ways and who is also non-empathetic towards black pain. So individuals like Stevie Knight, Officer Tatum, the Hodge twins, the Cartier family, they aren't empathetic. Aquarius Wave, they aren't empathetic towards black pain at all. You know, they are compliant towards racist ways. They become the compliant, intolerant Negro of racism. And they love those individuals. That's why they give them so much love and support on their channel, because they want individuals like Aquarius Wave and Stevie Knight and the Hodge twins and so on and so forth. They want them to get to us, reach out to us, and to make us be similar versions of them, which I will not allow. You know, these alt-right individuals, these MAGA men and women, they'll call you a victim for speaking out against racism and police brutality. You know, they think that it'll get to you so much that you'll just cave in to what they say and you'll just be like, okay, man, I give up. I'm tired of being called a victim. I'm tired of the name calling. I'll side with you. I don't give a fuck. Call me a victim all you want to. I'm checking your ass on this channel. And I'm getting that shit in line and getting in order around this motherfucker. So I'm just letting people know that, okay? I'm not one of them individuals who's going to get hurt if you call me a victim. I'm going to cuss you out. I'm going to talk about you. Okay, so I'm just letting you know, come over here with that smoke. Come over here with that. You're going to get a lot of smoke coming your way. And excuse my language. I get very passionate when I'm talking about my people, when I'm talking about racist individuals trying to get over on my people and gaslight my people into believing that racism, anti-black racism, is a figment of our imagination. Okay, yeah. So they'll also say things like, racism, it's not stopping you from achieving anything in life. So get over it. Racism isn't stopping you from achieving anything in life. Well, actually, racism is preventing resources from being poured into black schools and black neighborhoods. So it's preventing a lot of black kids, you know, from being educated at the same level as their white counterparts. You know, they'll say things like, racism isn't stopping you from achieving anything in life, but it's preventing black folks from buying or renting properties in certain neighborhoods, right? It's preventing black people from doing certain things. It's creating different terms for rental or the sales of properties to us. You know what I mean? So racism is stopping black folks from doing certain things. Racism also dictates the wealth gap in this country between white and black Americans. The foundation of the wealth gap was racism. The foundation of the wealth gap between white and black Americans in this country was racism. And excuse me for looking down. I wrote my notes down. I wrote talking points down. So excuse me for that, right? But yeah, man, I see all of this talk and this banter. And again, they try to trick black folks into being on the same type of time that Stevie Knight is on, the same type of time that all these other individuals are on. And I'm not going for it, you know? And when we talk about the things that racism stops black folks from doing, when we talk about, you know, the different races, things that have taken place in America, when we talk about the incidents of police brutality and all of that, when we talk, I shouldn't even call them incidents, when we talk about police brutality and the heinous acts that have been committed against our people, they'll tell us, hey, man, all of that, it's okay because at least you're not being lynched anymore, right? Right? At least slavery no longer exists, right? Mass incarceration. Okay. At least racism doesn't really affect you, right? Like voting discrimination doesn't exist. Like housing discrimination doesn't exist. So what the fuck are y'all talking about? You know what I mean? Like the wealth gap between black and white Americans isn't ginormous. Despite black Americans going to school and attaining degrees at higher rates than our previous generations, the wealth gap is still abundant. You know what I mean? So, you know, they'll try to trick us and gaslight us in all these different ways, and they'll use Stevie Knight to speak to us. And this is why I get on Stevie Knight and all these other individuals. This is why I get on their ass so much. Because they use these individuals, these black YouTubers who are alt-right, they use the Cartier family, have them all on Fox News and give them all the attaboys and the, hey man, and snuggle up to them and rub them on the head and pat them on the back. They do all of that. Because they use them as a way to say, hey, I'm not racist. These other black people are saying the same things I'm saying, right? Jason Whitlock is what I can't forget about him. He got his Negro wake-up call. Nick Fuentes gave him his Negro wake-up call. You are a token. You're tokenized and used so white folks can get off a lot of anti-black white folks, a lot of alt-right racist white folks, they get off their racist rhetoric. And they say, you know, I'm not racist because look at this black man. He's saying the same thing. They get used up. Look at this black woman. She's saying the same thing I'm saying. I can't be racist because this black woman or black man is saying the same thing. They get used up out here. Used up in the worst fashion all the way around. You know, and I will never allow anybody to use me to throw my people under the bus. I will never allow anybody to use me to denigrate my people. And I learned that lesson. From years ago, I watched Sinbad, the comedian, on The Breakfast Club. And he spoke about how, because Sinbad is a clean comic, and I talk about this in my videos a lot. Sinbad would say that, you know, a lot of white folks would try to use him as the good black man. to denigrate his contemporaries, to denigrate other black comedians. Why can't they all be like you, Sinbad? We wish they all were like you. Why can't they all be you? And he said, well, wait a minute. He would check it immediately. You're not going to use me you're not going to talk good on me to trash my people. My style of comedy is just different. This is what I choose to do. There's nothing wrong with their style of comedy. They're great as well. You're not going to use me to trash my people. And so that's something I learned while working in corporate America. I started working in corporate America at 24 years old after I graduated with my master's degree, right? I came back to Chicago. I went to Mississippi Valley State University at HBCU, the SWAC school. I graduated with my bachelor's. Then I went to Arkansas State University, a predominantly white institution, got my master's in communication, right, which is probably the best communication program in the state of Arkansas. It's super rigorous, research-based all the way. Got my degrees, came back home to Chicago, Illinois, got a job in corporate America. And so in this job, I was one of the youngest people in there. I was the youngest black dude in there for sure. One other person was younger than me in the department, and he was 23 years old, a Hispanic young man. I'm sorry for stuttering, y'all. And anyway, I remember, white guy in there says, "Hey, Malcolm, you got a master's degree?" I say, "Yeah." He said, "See, you went to school. See, you went and got your degree. See, and he was saying "see" as if like to say, why can't the rest of them Negroes that you grew up with get their degrees? Why couldn't the rest of them do this and that? And I had to check his ass. Hold on, wait a minute. There are a lot of circumstances that had to happen for me to get here. Circumstances that my other black folks in my neighborhood, they were not blessed to have them same circumstances as me. To have parents who had the wherewithal to know I couldn't go to my neighborhood school. Something that I talked about, the fact that, yeah, racism presents the resources for being poured into black schools in our neighborhood, so we got to go to other neighborhoods. And I went to school in a black neighborhood at a black school, but it was a magnet school. And a lot of people, I had to test into that school to get into that school. A lot of parents didn't even know about some of these magnet schools, in our neighborhoods, because the information was not on hand, or a lot of people weren't privy to this information. The reason why I knew was because my grandmother was a substitute teacher at the school that I went to, and then we found out about the school, right? I'm like, yo, there's a lot of people who mothers did not know about these schools or couldn't even get there. They couldn't, because my school was out of the district where I lived. You see what I'm saying? Like, the school bus wasn't gonna even pick them kids up from the neighborhoods I lived in for me to go to school. It was a lot of stuff. My dad had to take us at times and all of that until we moved to another area. My dad had to take us to the school. Parents can't take them to the school to go to a better school with a better curriculum, so they can be properly educated to be able to handle the rigors of high school, to be able to because I got a full academic scholarship to school. And that all was based upon me being able to be a good student, which was instilled upon me at that magnet school I went to. It was a Chicago public school, Turner Drew Language Academy on 93rd and Princeton, right by 95th and the Dan Ryan. It was a Chicago public school, but it was a magnet school, right? So I learned all that I needed to learn in kindergarten through 8th grade, which prepared me for the rigors of Morgan Park High School in Chicago. Morgan Park High School was a really good academic school, which prepared me for the rigors of college, which allowed me to get a full ride academic scholarship to school, because the Lord knew my mama and daddy could not pay for me to go to school. You feel me? But everybody don't have the same circumstances. Some people come from homes where their mama working all two jobs, and all she could do is just keep a roof over their head. She's struggling to keep a roof over their head. She can't even think to even get them in a school that's, a much better school, so on and so forth. I had friends who were living in shelters because they were falling on hard times. I had friends who had drug-addicted parents at times due to drugs and crack and stuff being implemented and being placed in black neighborhoods and black communities. Most of the people that my father grew up with, most of his friends became crack addicts. You see what I'm saying? My dad did not at all, but a lot of people he grew up with became crack addicts. And my dad would show me these people that they used to have regular lives before then. So some of my friends, they had parents on drugs. Some of them, again, their parents were just too burnt out from just trying to make ends meet to even think to put them in a different school, so on and so forth. They had some of my friends didn't have a supportive family to even push for them to go to certain schools or to get a better education, so on and so forth. Some of them didn't even know about these schools, man. So a lot of things had to go right for me to get to that point. So I didn't allow that man to treat me like the good black man in an instance to denigrate my own people. You see what I'm saying? So I will never let folks on you, the alt-right community on YouTube who push a lot of these black YouTubers, these black content creators, they push a lot of them to get money on YouTube if they, if they speak out against black people. Aquarius Wave and all them individuals, they are getting paid, rewarded for anti-black rhetoric. I'm never going to allow the alt-right community, the MAGA community to use me to denigrate my people, to use me to talk bad about my people, to throw my people under the bus. I have integrity. I have pride as a black man. I have pride as a black father rearing children. I have